Welcome to Chronic Curiosity, where we have real conversations with real people, from everything to anything, in attempts to facilitate dialogue with our fellow humans, and hopefully your curiosity as well as ours. If you can withstand the show, we ask, most importantly, that you tell your friends and family, but also you can pick up some merch or just donate to the show at chronic-curiosity.com in USD or Bitcoin. If you feel so obliged, you can give us a good rating and follow on whatever podcast platform you so choose. But please feel free to reach out to us on the website or the socials, which can also be found on the website, chronic-curiosity.com. And here we go. I was going to say, I'd probably leave that one in there.
That's funny.
Those West Coast assholes.
Well, one of my patients was a Marine, and he lived in California, and he moved. He was like, dude, I had to leave.
Can't do it.
He said, my 1,600 square foot house, it cost me, what did he say? It was $800 a month was his property tax, he said.
Just property tax?
Just property tax. For a 1,600 square foot house.
That's no good. Mm-mm. Yeah, I think I've said before, I knew some people that were born something like leaking all over the place on Staten Island.
And then, yeah, I remember you saying
we had gone back.
House was just
years later. I think they bought the house for, what was it? It's like 100 foot long, and I think 50 feet wide or 40 feet wide.
Yeah,
piece of land. The land was that big. It was something like that, and the house sat on it, and they paid $300,000 for it. And then we went back. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't $300,000. Maybe it was somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah.
But then we went back probably. It had to be 15 years later or something, or 10, 15 years later, and looked at it, and it was up for sale. I think for, I want to say $950.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
Almost $1 million. It's
that's crazy.
This 5,000 square foot property.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. It's crazy out there. Any place. I just can't imagine paying that much just to live in a tiny little piece of property.
Yeah. They must be doing those jumbo loans or something. And I can't imagine people making that much money. Like we were saying, California, man, those, what is it, San Francisco? You can probably look this up. I think
the average median.
It was 1.7 million or 1.8 million or something. Are people really making that much money? Or they just do these crazy loans that graduate or?
Yeah, I don't know. That is trickery, how that works. Because I just saw a thing, it was the other day, where New York property values are actually back up.
Oh, okay.
It's funny. They said I think they're the highest they've ever been, and it was the average. I think the average property sale in Manhattan was 1.2 million. Average. Excuse me. And I think Queens was the lowest for 500 some thousand.
Dude.
And when you know what those areas look like and where the houses people are buying and the spaces people are buying, it's whoa. So then it's you wonder.
In January, the median listing price in Manhattan was $1.4 million.
So
trending up 14% year over year.
I mean, dude, in order to afford, what is it? I think $1 million house, you have to make about $150,000 a year. And then I think that's what I was looking that up the other day. Yeah.
That all? That's it?
Yeah.
I think it would depend on property taxes too.
It definitely does. That's a huge thing too. So, and probably down payment. That's going off 20% down payment though.
Oh, right.
I wonder if the people in New York or in California are coming up with, 200,000 or, however much.
I don't know. I don't know
280,000.
how it works. But it was funny because we've talked about how there was a mass, it wasn't a mass exodus. There's a lot of people like to call it a mass exodus, but it really wasn't. It was a lot of people leaving the cities.
People like their catchphrases.
Yeah, but there was a lot of people leaving the city. So it's the whole thought was, is New York City going to come back from this? How do you, if all these people are leaving? And then I thought, I was well, how are the prices still going up too? There's no way that there's that many people. I can understand if they balanced out and, people came back and okay, whatever. But how are the prices still going up? And then I was oh yeah. the price of everything's going up.
Yeah.
That's not.
What's inflation at now? Is it up to
It just
8?
came out. I think it was officially like 7.5%.
When was it 7.5%?
Oh, I think it's the highest it's been since like the 40s or something like that.
That's not good.
It was something because it was a big thing that's like, oh, like the last 2 years they've been telling us inflation is transitory, blah 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 blah, whatever, and then we've hit the official highest inflation number we've had in half of a decade or half of a century, probably.
That's bad.
You know, you would think somebody out there would be telling people, you know, I don't think inflation's transitory. All this money we're printing is probably a bad idea. Oh wait, we've been doing that for the last 2 years, and we're dum-dums. What's so is that 2000? Yeah, so it's been the last 20 years. 2008, it looks like, with that crisis.
Yeah.
The crash hit what 5.5% looked like. That was in 2008.
Is that what's coming?
Yeah, 7%. I wonder what. Go a longer one, a longer time period, or like when was the highest? Oh, so that was back in that was like the 1900s. That doesn't even count. So what was that? That's next size. Well, it was like 1945. It looked like.
Yeah,
go back to that one. You
click
just the
on
green
that
one.
That was a pretty good one.
So you have 1940 to 1950. It was when it was back up over. Oh yeah, in the late 70s. It was up over 8%. Yeah. So 70s. So yeah, half of a century, 50 years. Isn't that funny? You think about 1970, you're like, well, that wasn't that long ago. And you go, oh yeah, that's been 50 years ago.
Yeah, dude. What about the mortgage interest rates back then?
I don't know about anything about that.
Look some of those up, Cass. They were high. Like, I think they were like well over 10%.
Wow.
Yeah,
in
like
the 70s.
I don't know. We'll see. I know that they were high because I remember hearing some older people talk about houses, and they were like, "Yeah, you guys are complaining about house prices." They're like, "But our like interest rates were through the roof."
Yeah, that whole interest rate and all that stuff is such a scam. Such a scam.
This says 8.5% was the average home mortgage interest rate in 1970.
Okay.
I can see that. That's right.
This is what the average monthly payment was, only $126.88.
Yeah, because the prices were way low. Just the interest rate was. You know what?
That's a tank of gas is what that is.
I'll tell you this. I'd rather pay $150,000 for a house with 10% interest than $600,000 for the same house with 2% interest. How about that? How about that math for you? Because that's exactly what we're doing now.
I know.
Interest rates are way low. You just have to pay triple the price for the property.
Yeah.
Oh, so in 1981, interest rate was 16.63%.
Well,
so maybe that's what you were thinking.
So it makes sense.
Yeah, so it looks like the 80s was a lot higher.
I feel like the 60s was like the heyday. Like for people, like the average.
Everybody's just doing drugs American. And just spending money. And
yeah, because like we got out of the war, like we were doing good. And people had good jobs because, you know, we had factories and things that were producing stuff.
Yeah. Had so much good music though, man.
Oh, yeah.
I was just watching Watchmen.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that's a great movie, actually.
It is a decent movie. It's weird. It's different.
It's very weird, but the music is awesome.
That's honestly the reason I watched that movie, because I remember the first time I saw a commercial for it. It had the Smashing Pumpkins song, and like that doesn't really sound like much like Smashing Pumpkins, but you can definitely tell it's the lead singer. And I'm like, that looks cool. Like that song, I was like perfectly fit. Like the soundtrack is really good on that.
Is that Billy Corgan?
Sounds right.
Is that his name?
I don't know. He's got an interesting name or interesting voice though. I never was a huge fan of like their music, like their normal stuff, but that soundtrack was really good. Was it? She wasn't even paying attention. The lead
singer of Smashing Pumpkins.
Lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins, yeah. So it should be about some bald dude. Kind of looks like
yeah, I think it's like Billy Corgan.
Yeah, it kind of looks like who's the
Billy Corgan.
Okay.
I always mix up him and the lead singer to Coldplay.
He's a looker.
Oh yeah. No, he is. That was his look, though. For Smashing Pumpkins, was that creepy,
Yeah.
kind of serial killer looking vibe.
What was the movie with the
Look at him with hair, though. He looks better bald. He looks like a dweeb with hair.
what was the dude with the pins? That scary movie.
I have no idea.
You know what I'm talking about? He's got all the pins and he has like a bald head. It looks similar.
I'm not familiar with that. I don't know. Wild Times. Well, speaking of Wild Times.
Yeah, bro, I've been waiting.
So
Hellraiser.
There we go.
1987.
There you go. Bingo. So I've realized, though, I will put this disclaimer on this. From doing this show and listening to myself talk, I realize I'm a terrible storyteller. I'm just not good at it. I don't know if it's because, like, Chad accused me of the week before, whatever, like, just thinking about stuff too much and going way too far, way too fast, like, and not, like, breaking the levels down. I don't know what it is, but I'll try my best to tell this story. I'll do the best I can.
We need a Dan Leach tagged in.
Yeah,
that's a storyteller.
Yeah,
right
and just full disclosure, I don't have all of the nitty gritty details, but I have enough that I was like, this is an interesting story. So my neighbor comes over. He's an older gentleman, retired for a few years, was a truck driver. So you have to understand the level of technological understanding and, all that stuff. So he comes over and, I was in the shower, but then, like, I saw him, like, we have a security camera. So, like, I saw that he was over. So I texted him. I was like, hey, you need something? Like, I was in the shower. He's like, yeah, I have a bit of a concern. I'm like, like, we're super friendly with this guy. Like, I get along with him really well. And but he rarely just stops over. Like, he'll text me, or if I see him out, we'll talk, we'll have a conversation. But, like, he really just comes and knocks on our door. So I'm like, yeah, I'm here. So he comes over and he's like, well, I have a concern. And I'm like, oh no, like, what did I do? Did I, like, bad neighbor him? You know what I mean? Like, or something. Like, did I upset Steve or whatever? Like, and he's like, well, it's not with you or anything. I'm like, okay, like, get on with it, bro.
Yeah.
So he goes, all right. He's like, I got this. I booted up my laptop. He's like, and I, go to get on, do whatever. And there's a screen that pops up and it says, you need to contact Hewlett Packard right now. Like, your machine has a virus or malware or whatever on it. So he's like, so I shut it down real quick and, turn it back on. And same thing. I'm like, like, it sounds like you got a virus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm going through there, and he's like, and the number pops up on the screen, which to call. And I'm thinking, oh, great, he called the number on the screen. Because it's, viruses, you just never know.
Yeah.
So he's like, I had my wife check it, and she searched for it. Like, what's the number? And then it hit me. She goes, what's the number for Hewlett Packard, whatever. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, like, good for them. But then as he's telling me, like, I realized that he says, well, she Googled, what's the number for this error code? Hewlett Packard. And I'm like, oh, that could be troublesome.
Error code, not area code.
Yeah.
It sounded like you said area code.
Oh, sorry. Error code. And I'm like, oh no, like that could be a fake number still. So I'm like, but I didn't really catch it until later. Like, I was thinking about it. So he tells me that, so they call and they say, yeah, you got a virus on your computer. And then he's like, so he's able to, like, walk me through some things, and we're trying to figure this out. He's like, I've been on the phone all day with these people. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, that's good. You're dealing with, HP, trying to get through your stuff. And I was like, that's the best way to do it. You contact the manufacturer, then go from there. So he's like, I'm on the phone with him. And then, he, I got him, he had access on my computer. So we're going around trying to get rid of this virus. And, I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, well, I see that you have an active virus on here, and, all of these different things have been accessed on your computer. Like, your, it looks bank records, all, like, your computer, somebody has full access. So what we need to do is we need to make sure we call your bank and shut your accounts, like, or at least put a pause on them. Let your banks know, hey, something's, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Right. So then he goes, well, so we got the bank on the phone, and we got Hewlett Packard on the phone, and they're working together, and they're talking, and we're all working together. Right. And I'm like, okay, like, okay, maybe. Yeah. And then he's like, so we're going through and, and he's like, he has me pull up all my bank stuff and this, that, whatever. And I'm like, and at this point, I'm like, all right, now this is getting a little weird. But like the way he's telling it, I'm thinking, yeah, okay, so he goes,
hold on. He had you pull up your bank stuff?
No. The guys
Oh,
that he was
okay,
dealing with.
okay, yeah.
Right? He was all on the computer.
Yeah.
So he's been doing this all day. Like he's been on the phone with them all day long.
So Hewlett Packard and bank connected.
Yeah, on his computer. And they're trying to figure this out, right? So he says even at one point he tells us to, disconnect everything from our Wi-Fi except for the computer. And then, they're trying to figure this out, trying to work it out. And he pulls up at one point like his internet usage. He's like, see, you can see it right here, like this massive spike in internet usage. He's like, yeah, he's like, that means like they're hacking your stuff right now. And I'm like, Steve, I think it might be them. He was like, he kind of looks at me, I was like, I think they were hacking you right then. He was like, well, yeah, it's kind of what I'm wondering. He's like, so then I talked to him and he's like, he said that you need to, what was it? You need to close your accounts, put a pause on them. We got those paused. And then what you're going to do is tomorrow we're going to call you back, give you some more information you can follow up. Cause what we have to do is we have to pull the money out of your accounts and then put it in a separate account.
Oh, hell no.
A different bank account, to make sure that they can't access it because now the hackers have all your information. So you have to pull your money out because they're like, oh, that's what was it was the bank that called him. But at one point they're like, well, it shows that you have a transaction for $16,000 out of here and $24,000 out of here. That's what it was. See, terrible at telling stories. While they're doing the computer stuff, they're like, well, it shows that you have this amount of money pulled out and it's being transferred to a Chinese account. He's like, no, that didn't happen. So like, well, that's what it's showing. Like, it's fraudulent. Like, well, no, we talked to your wife and she approved it. And like, they read off her phone number. So like this number. And he's like, no, that didn't happen. We didn't do this. So then that's when they started connecting the bank and HP together to work this out and then went through all of his accounts.
So did he call his bank then?
So then he comes over after all of this and he's like, I'm like, Steve, they hacked you. Like the people that you were talking to, they didn't, like, your information wasn't stolen before, but it is now. Like, I was like, you need to, like, very first thing I said, right now, I said, what you need to do is you go back home, cancel every single one of your credit cards, every single account that you have. Like, you need to change a password, like, but you can't do it on the computer you were on. Like, you have to try, like, through your phone, you have to call these places, cancel every single credit card you have, go to the bank and talk to them in the morning. Like, go to the bank and talk to them in person. He was like, yeah, he's like, I thought it was kind of weird, when they told me that, and they told him, don't say anything to the bankers about why you're pulling the money out. And he was like, when they said that, he's like, it really hit me. And I'm like, yeah, Steve. I said, they're hacking you. He's like, yeah. He's like, I just wanted to come over and make sure that I was like, yeah, they hacked you.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm like, so that's quite the scam though. Because when you put a virus on somebody, so I talked to him. I haven't gotten the full details.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to try to wiggle them out of him later at some point. But he said that he got everything worked out. He said nothing that a little, like, because I took this computer to, company and they cleaned it out, whatever. He's like, nothing a little bit of money couldn't solve. So like he got all of his stuff worked out, but like he almost got, this retired guy almost got his entire like life savings. Like they attempted to rip him off. But I was like, the end part is what they had. It was a little too fishy.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's pretty elaborate to put a virus on somebody's computer to get them in order to contact you, and then like run through this whole scheme of taking hours and hours and pretending to be the bank and pretending to be the computer manufacturer, and like they're hustling out there, bro. They're hustling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes and you think, like, you hear the story, you're like, oh, that would never get caught doing that. But like, they get you, like, it's slowly, And slowly but surely, it's that link. I've done it before. Like you get a text message, and it's like, oh, your FedEx tracking package is on its way. And like, oh, like, and I have a package on the way. I'm like, oh, you click on it. As soon as I click, I'm like, fuck, why'd I do that? Like, don't do that.
Yeah, so the one company I work for sends us phishing emails.
Oh, right.
In
Yeah.
Teslas. Yeah. And then, they make you go through training again if you click on them. And dude, they got me so good the one day. I was like, you got to be shitting me. I had just changed my automatic withdrawal. And then they sent me, it was an email, and it was like, you recently changed your automatic withdrawal, like, da-da-da. And I was like, bro, come on. Like, I just did that.
Right.
And they wanted me to confirm it. And I clicked it, and they're like, oh, this was phishing. Ha. Take this class. And I was like, oh, my gosh.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah. I was like, joke's on you. I'm still clocked in doing this training.
Hey, if you want me to take the class, right? Yeah.
So now I don't click on anything. I just hit the phishing button and send everything away.
Yeah, you have to.
We used to have a phishing button, right? And now you have to forward the email to a phishing email address. So everything just gets deleted.
Gotcha.
Because it's just extra work where I work now. That doesn't make sense. Before it was a little picture of a fish and it was cute and it was like fishing. But now you have to, I'm not going to memorize a phishing email, right?
Yeah, that's kind of silly.
So their shit just gets deleted.
Ours is just,
or I click on it and
we
get in trouble.
We can report it, or if we delete it, they know.
Gotcha.
Like they know if it's just gets deleted and you pass the test that way.
One of my patients does some computer stuff and like with code and things like that. And we got on the subject of Epstein Island, and he was just kind of saying how they don't really have to probably do that anymore, just because they can plant stuff on your computer like porn.
Oh yeah.
And I asked him, I said, is there any way to tell, like, if someone just plants porn on your computer and you're like, hey, that wasn't me, like I don't do the kiddie porn thing. And he was like, no. He goes, you can do it, and it looks like you searched for it, and there's no trace.
Sure.
And
if you get someone good.
Yeah. He said most of those guys will leave like a small, like a breadcrumb or something, like the Wet Bandits, like a little signature or something, if you dig deep enough. But he's like, dude, you can pretty much do it untraceable. I don't know if that's true, but I was like, that's terrifying.
I think there's ways to do it where it's very difficult. You have to have like somebody smarter than the person doing it to realize what they did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what I told my neighbor. I said, first thing you do, obviously, I said, don't use that computer until I said, I don't know any good computer, because he asked me. I was like, I don't know any good computer guys around here. I said, but don't use that thing until you do
scrub it.
I said, or I said, if you're buying a new one, smash the fuck out of it. And I said, and also
Office Space.
Yeah.
Cue up the song.
Why does it say paper chip when there is no paper chip? I said, and also like replace your router. I said, you get a new one of those too. I said, because if they have, I'm sure if they have access to your computer and they had access remotely, like unless you took, like they don't go anywhere. It's not like he like took his computer to like a Panera and got, you know what I mean, got hacked through the Wi-Fi there. I was like, throw that router away too. I said, besides, you probably haven't gotten a new one for a while. You're probably about to.
Sure.
But yeah, it's tricky, man. I said, have you ever gotten like scammed like at all?
Oh yeah, I have.
How?
I feel like
because I got a story too.
I feel like it happened twice. I don't have a great story. I think
mine's a good story.
Mine was like
it's probably not a good story.
Mine was a Fire Stick, and it was like $80, and I just didn't get it. They never sent it. And there was some car part I think that I didn't get. Those were the two times. It was nothing crazy. But
have you ever gotten scammed in person? Like by like a living human being?
Almost.
How'd you catch him?
So he used my one of my motorcycle suits to race in, and he wrecked. Oh. And he was trying not to tell me that he damaged it.
How did you not?
I don't know. That's what I don't know. But basically, I put a dollar value on it, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't want to pay that." And I was like, "So I gave you something that saved your life, probably, and
now
you
you're
wrecked
going to
it.
pay
and
me
now,
for destroying it."
Yeah. And and I don't know if that's getting scammed or, whatever, but I bet that's about as close, I think, as. Well, I got it. He paid me, though. So
Oh, well, that's good.
there may have been some threatening going on there.
may or not. Yeah, I've gotten like scammed, kind of, in a way.
Oh, dude, hold on a second.
What?
I did get scammed when I was a kid one
Yes.
time. I did get scammed. This dude rolled up, and it was one of those vans with speakers.
Oh, God.
I got scammed with the
Yes.
speakers, and he got me for like $200, I think, or $300. He's like, these things are like $2,000 speakers.
Yes.
Sold me the song and the dance.
Yes.
I bought them, dude. I bought them.
Welcome to the club.
About that.
Welcome to the club.
I forgot
That's
about that.
my exact same story, in a sense, but they've rolled up in the van with the speakers, and they had the catalog.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, look at these. We were only supposed to deliver 4 of them,
yeah.
and they loaded 5 of them on the truck
Oh, yeah.
today. So like, we're just trying to go out to the titty bar, so we just trying to get some cash.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I was like, maybe 18.
Dude, I think that's.
Maybe.
I think I was like 17
They caught
or
me
18.
in a gas
yeah.
station. I was
Yup.
maybe 18. So I was a fucking idiot. But so I made it even dumber. So I said, well, can I hook them up? Like, I was like, I at least want to like, let me try them out.
Yeah.
Like, so then like, now they're in my house. Yeah. Fucking
That's
dumbass.
awesome.
But I'm like, fuck, like these sound pretty decent.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I'll give you like $200-$300 for whatever it was. Like I was like, these are decent. So then, but I didn't have enough cash. So I'm like, well, I'll go to the bank. Like, so like they fall. I can't remember if they followed me. One guy might have even ridden with me
That's awesome.
to the bank. And it was like, I pay them their $300, whatever it was. And they're like, all right, see you later, man. I'm like, but I still have them. They still work great.
Yeah.
So I'm like, did I get scammed?
Yeah.
Because I spent $300 on speakers that I've used for
Years.
almost 20 years now. I'm like, so did I get scammed?
I don't know.
I was a fucking idiot for letting them in my house, though. That was kind of dumb.
I got scammed.
Yeah.
Remember, I said I didn't get scammed, but then I realized that I paid for.
You tried to block those things out of your memory.
Yeah. I paid for somebody caught me in a parking lot, and I was probably 16.
I see
I
a
was
trend
just
here.
making my own money.
Definitely a trend.
And it was for like a magazine subscription service for like, I don't know, 6 months, 12 months, something.
For magazines? What magazine did you? What
I don't
magazines were you
know.
buying?
But I didn't ever get them. And it took me a solid 3 months before I realized that I got scammed, or before I could admit that I was scammed.
I don't think I've ever told that story about me getting scammed at the
You never
speakers.
told me that.
Yeah.
I like a good scam. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't like being scammed.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
Well, for the longest time, it was like because I just felt stupid. Because when I realized
yeah.
it, because I realized it probably like a couple months later, and I'm like, I got scammed. But then I was like, well, they sound pretty good. So did I get scammed? I don't
Yeah.
know. But
I remember I worked at Curves too when I was like 17. And I don't know if you know what that is, but it used to be like a workout place just for women.
yeah, it's like a circuit.
Yeah, it was like a
workout.
circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked there when I was 17. And I had a hard time telling people no. I don't know if that surprises you or not, but it was much different when I was younger. And this guy came in. And so I'm already like uncomfortable because women come in there because there's no men, right?
Yeah.
So this guy comes in and he was probably mid-50s, kind of scruffy. He was looking for people to give money for something, some fundraiser or something. And it just was like creep vibe, but I also just couldn't tell him no. So I remember I like turned around and was like, fuck, I have like $10, right, in my wallet somewhere. So I bent down to get it, and this lady comes like charging over. She was like working out, and she was like, sir, you need to leave. And I was like, see, this is what I didn't want to happen. She's pissed this guy's in here. And she ripped him a new one for trying to take advantage of a young girl who was just out here trying to work. And I was like, was he gonna pocket that money? She was like, honey, he was not getting money for a fundraiser.
Yeah.
Kicked his ass out. And I was like, you know what? I got to harden up. I got to be able to say no
Yeah.
because these people are going to take me for everything I have. Like, I feel like you can smell those people. Like, you can smell them out. Like, oh, they're an easy target.
Oh, I think they can't. Those scammers, those people that are real good.
Obviously, I was the only person working there. So, like,
Smell that rabbit?
Yeah.
Smells like scams.
yeah. So he just, Yeah, he'd have walked away with my $10.
Could have been worse.
I could have been.
It's a good life lesson, though.
Yeah, that lady really.
I gotta harden up.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was really nice. She just like she didn't have to do that, you know. She she probably was a mom.
Did you guys ever get accused of like doing something that you didn't do, or like stealing something? Or I was just trying to think of like stories when I was a kid. And
oh man,
I remember my sister and I got accused of stealing something. And do you remember? It was called the Yum Yum Tree.
Okay, yeah.
It was like a Hallmark kind of store, and it was over there by Planet Fitness. They had like little trinkets and shit, and this one lady accused us of stealing stuff, and it turned out she worked there and stole it.
Oh. See,
Yeah.
you're always trying to divert.
Yeah,
It's like they're magicians. Is what it is. Sometimes some better than others.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
What was she stealing?
I just whatever stuff that was there, like the precious moments and crap like that. I'm like, why would I steal a precious moment?
Yeah.
Like even as a child,
what am I do with this? Take it home and blow it up with my GI Joes.
Yeah.
Give it to your mom for Mother's
yeah,
Day.
a weird thing to steal.
I don't know if I've ever gotten accused for doing something I didn't like seriously that I can think of.
That's because you were actually probably doing
Usually
the
I was
things.
actually doing them. Yeah. I remember a story. We had right on. People aren't going to know this, but 585. You live around here, like right across the barn in Smithville.
Yeah.
So like, there's a basically just a road with a restaurant across from it, and like on the other side of the road, there's a giant potato farm. So
Ramsars.
Right. Yeah. And when they dig up the potatoes, they pile them up along the edges of the fields, and then they'll come collect them later. Well, I used to live real close by there when I was.
Maybe thief some potatoes.
No, even better. Like I think they like 6th grade, maybe somewhere around there, 4th, 6th grade, something like that. And it was a little neighborhood, so me and my buddy we always used to run around and do stuff together. So what we were at that point, we would climb the potato, hills because that's fun, cool, right? And then we realized like, oh man, do you think you can chuck a potato across the road? Because we're little kids, like these big potatoes. We're like, I don't know. So we started chucking potatoes across 585. And like, obviously when cars weren't coming naturally, except I think this one guy saw us doing it and like whips off the road and he starts running after us. And we're little, obviously at that age. He starts screaming and just, you think some lady gonna find it real funny when she gets a potato in her windshield? Or he said some old lady runs off the road and hits a telephone pole and goes through the windshield. Think that's gonna be fucking funny? And I'm like, oh. I'm not really thinking about it in my head. Like, I didn't really think that far through. Like, what? I'm 11, 12? Like, I wasn't thinking that far ahead,
Bro,
man.
did you hit him with a potato?
No, I ran. I ran. And then
He
later.
peed himself as he's running away.
I didn't pee myself, but I did run. And never threw potatoes across.
But did Bart.
Yeah. No, I don't think he peed himself either. But we were like, oh, I'm not doing that again. And then later, my mom was like, I don't remember if she, like, specifically said something about throwing potatoes or getting in a like argument or somebody with something. I don't know what it was, but she knew something happened.
Yeah.
I don't know if she knew what. She knows something happened. I was like, let's talk about. Let's talk about, Mom. I'm gonna go out and play.
I feel like I might have told this story. I have a good throwing story. Did I tell the story? I think I did about the Oreo.
I don't remember anything about you chucking Oreos.
Oh, this story is phenomenal. This story is great, and it involves Dan Leach, which is even better. So
Fred just told me a story about Dan Leach and riding in the trunk.
Oh, amazing story.
It was really funny. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, no, we got to get him on to tell that
stories,
story.
Yeah.
He's got a story about throwing snowballs too, and a guy pulled over and chased him down, and his dad about beat this dude's ass, I think. Old Tex got involved. Okay, so this story was, let me think here, 2007, 2008. I was down at the College of Charleston. It was my first year down there. It was an all-male dormitory. It was Craig Hall, 66 George Street. We used to call
He still
it
remembers
the
the
cockpit.
address.
We called it the cockpit because it was all dudes. It was like 3 floors of dudes. And we were pretty wild at this place. The cafeteria was right below us, which was perfect. You just roll out of bed, go down there, eat, go to sleep, eat some more. It was perfect.
A little above a cafeteria as like a 19-year-old dude.
Oh yeah. But you can imagine, like, not a good environment when you're young you want to bring women back. You know, you're searching.
Yeah.
You got the hormones going.
Right.
All males. So you had to sneak them in. You had to do whatever.
Bring them back to the pack of dogs.
Back to the cockpit. So, let's see.
Did you ever sell him on that? Hey, you want to come back to the cockpit? Mhm. How many times did that work?
60% of the time.
All the
None of the time. So let me reverse back a little bit. So this story had to do with one of my roommates, and I won't use any names or anything like that. But this kid was from Romania. He was a little bit different. He had a problem with exposing. Like,
jeez. I feel like I have to have a drink for this.
Yeah, grab one, man. Let's hit the pause button.
You want one?
Yeah, why not?
What do you want?
Probably just some Buffalo Trace is fine, man. Just a little nip. That's a good one. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so he would expose various body parts, particularly one body part that I think he was proud of. And I was like, bro, come on, like that's just weird.
Yeah,
like I don't need to see that. I don't want to see it. And so it finally got to the point where I was like, listen, bro, put it away or you're gonna lose it. Like you will lose it. I have no problem.
Ultimatum there. Huh?
Yeah, no problem. So he did, but there was always still a little bit of animosity there. And so
Can't imagine why.
fast forward, it was a couple months later. He ended up becoming the one of the RAs. He was an RA. That's what he was. And so he was above us. And there was one night where he filled these water balloons up with this scalding hot water, and he was chucking them. He was chucking them with scalding hot water. I don't really know how hot the water is.
Scalding it was.
Yeah, but
shut that, babe.
I was on the second floor. He was on the third floor. Leaned over. He got me.
Mm.
He got me good, and I was not happy.
Yeah, I can understand.
Not happy at all. Not because it hurt me or anything like that. It was just dude hit me with a water. Like I was not expecting to be hit on that particular day with a water balloon as a grown ass man.
Yeah, I don't like being practical joked.
No,
like at all.
I do now some, but back then I was a little bit more serious. So I definitely took off after him. Dude was just running like a scared bitch. Went up there, he locked his door. I tried kicking the door and couldn't get to him. I don't know what I was going to do. Like, I don't really know what I was going to do.
Just scare him at least.
Yeah, probably give him a kick in the ass or something.
Give him a nice noogie.
Yeah, banged on the windows, and I'm like, I know you're in there. I was like, I'm coming for you. I was like, I'm going to get you back. I'm going to get you back. And so one thing that you may or may not know about me is that I am a very patient man, Fred.
I can see that.
I'm a very patient man, and I don't forget things very often.
Like an elephant.
Like an elephant. So let me think. It was sometime later.
Sometime.
I don't know how much.
An undetermined amount of time later.
Yes, it was. It was months later. And I think he thought that I'd forgotten about this incident. Oh, I did not. It happened to be Dan Leach's birthday. We've had Dan Leach on the show. Phenomenal human being. Love you, Dan. And we were with a group of guys, and I'm not really sure why guys do these things, but we kidnapped him. So we kidnapped him.
Is it past the statute of limitations now?
Yeah, I think so. We definitely kidnapped him. It was a full like sack over the head, duct tape the hands, like threw him in the bed of a truck. Like he did not know what was going on.
Guys are such assholes.
Oh yeah, and so we took him to.
Wait, were your faces covered like in Dexter?
Oh yeah, like he didn't know.
He didn't know.
No. It was like a full on, dude.
Got it.
Full on.
That's piss your pants level.
So we took him over there, and he was definitely kicking and fighting. He's a scrapper. He was a wrestler. But we got him. And so we took him over, and it was a surprise birthday party. And so then he had a good time. Let me think how this went. I actually don't even think I don't think we drank or anything. We were a pretty good group of kids, like a church group and stuff like that. So it wasn't wild in that sense. But I do remember we had a bunch of food and a bunch of sweets. And
Just a bunch of college kids eating.
Yeah, just eating
sweets.
Eating.
Church college kids.
Yeah, church college
They
kids.
just got done kidnapping somebody.
Yeah. So we did have some double stuffed Oreos.
Watch out there.
We had some double stuffed Oreos. So, like idiots, we're driving back to the cockpit, Craig Dormitory.
Oh, yeah. The Oreos too. Yeah. I forgot. This is where they started.
Coming full circle here.
Yeah.
We're driving back to the cockpit, and we're sitting in the back of the truck, and we're just winging Oreos at people. Not smart.
That could hurt.
Pretty dumb.
You hit somebody in the eyeball.
Oh, it's coming, bro. It's coming. I feel so evil telling the story. I love it, dude. Like, I get such pleasure out of this. You don't even understand. So we make it back. And Craig, you kind of walk in, and then to the left is one of the, like a plexiglass window where you have to check in.
Right.
Okay. Who do you think is working behind that plexiglass window? It's the roommate, bro.
Oh, no.
It's the roommate.
The exposer.
What do you think is still in my hand?
Oreos.
Double stuffed.
Double stuffed.
Double stuffed. Guess who didn't close the door to the room? That's right. The roommate. So we come in. He just kind of looks up, gives us a nod, knows who we are, doesn't need to check the ID. There's a flight of stairs that goes up this way. Then it turns and turns without missing a beat. I knew exactly what I was going to do. Dude, I take off at a sprint. First flight. Second flight. Stop mid-stairs. Look. Head down. Reading a book. Mind his own business. I didn't forget.
I did.
Cocked with a double stuffed Oreo. Dude, I have a pretty good arm, but on this particular day, it was straight Nolan Ryan. I even got a crow hop before I threw this thing. Dude, literally take a hop, just cock back. Dude, a cannon, bro. Unload this double stuffed Oreo. The trajectory on this thing was amazing. Amazing. Dude, he looks up at the same time, and this thing just annihilates his face. Annihilates his face. I mean, dude, it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It was like
in slow motion.
It was like
Just
fate.
getting picked with an Oreo.
Dude, imagine all those things to come together. It was like fate aligned in that very moment where I had my vengeance. I had my vengeance.
Hilarious.
And I got to see a grown ass man cry after getting hit in the face with a double stuffed Oreo.
Oh, I don't have any stories that cool. I just don't. Sorry.
Did it leave a mark?
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say that
mark.
had to hurt. That would hurt getting whacked by an Oreo, like because I bet you could get one of those things zinging.
Oh, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
like if we would have had
they're just dense enough if
Bro,
you throw it right.
if I had a radar gun, I probably hit 50 miles an hour.
Getting hit by a 50-mile-per-hour Oreo.
Yeah, and I had zero remorse after I did it. Like, I actually felt good about it, and I still feel good about it to this day.
Because that guy deserved it.
When I was in high school, I was a freshman.
Twice.
I was not a freshman twice. No, people are going to think that really happened. No, but I was friends with a junior, and our art class was really shitty. Like, there was not very many people in it. So him and I became friends. And he was telling me all about how he was going to go with the seniors and pull this senior prank, right? And they were going to paint 2006 on the school roof.
Which they did. And so I knew it was coming. He was like, what a terrible idea to tell people.
He was just telling me about it. Yeah, we were friends. It's fine. So I knew like it was coming. I knew to look for it. Like, and they did. It was a pretty good idea, right? Well, that was Monday at like noon, and I got called to the principal's office, and he was under the impression that I was there, and that you remember what principal I'm talking about.
He was such a
douchebag.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, so I think he really knew I wasn't there, but I think he thought that if he applied enough pressure, so he was basically telling me how my entire like high school career was going to be ruined because I was going to get suspended. And I was like, bro, I'm not even graduating for 4 more years. Like, why would I climb onto a school roof and write 06 when I'm not, or no, I did graduate in 06. What year? This would have been
04.
No, this would have been 02.
Oh, yeah. No, was it?
Yeah. It was senior
03.
class when I was a freshman.
02? Really?
Yeah.
02? I don't know, whatever. It's
Yeah,
a
and
long
so
time
he
ago.
like tried to tell me I was going to get suspended for this stuff, but if I could provide some information about who was
Trying
there.
to get you to rat him out.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive I got called in the office for that too.
Really?
Because we went to, obviously we went, nobody knows that, we went to the same school. Not exactly high school sweethearts, but we went to the same school. Yeah, I'm almost positive because I remember it was for something. I remember it was for something that I didn't do as well because he hated me. But I remember that time he was trying to do, he did that. He must have done that a lot of times to people because he did that to me too. I'm like, dude, I have nothing for you. Like, you do it. Because he was like, well, that's what it was. He's like, if I think people are holding information back, then if I have to come down hard on them, then I have to come down hard on them. I have to come down hard on everybody.
It gets better, though. So I go home, and I'm like, tell my parents about it. Corey starts laughing, right? Corey was also in my art class. There was maybe like 12 of us.
I could see where this is going.
And he starts laughing, and he goes, oh, yeah, I talked to Mr. So-and-so today, too. And I said, okay, like, did he try to blame it on you, too? And he goes, no, I'm not friends with
so-and-so, yeah.
the guy, that you're friends with. And I said, he doesn't fucking know that. He goes, he did
does
after
now.
he talked to me. And I was like, you son of a bitch. Yeah, so turns out Corey just threw me right under their butt. He knew I wasn't there.
He didn't even throw you under the bus.
He just
intentionally threw you into the bus.
Yeah, like Corey knows I was literally home all weekend. Like, we live in the same house.
That's funny.
Yeah, and so of course the friend was waiting outside in the hallway, like sweating, like,
yeah,
what'd you tell him? And I'm like, bro, nothing. Why would a freshman girl go do a senior prank?
That would be nerve-wracking, though, as like a junior or a senior guy. Like, you told some shit to a freshman girl that just got out of the principal's office. Like, I'm fucked. I know she can't. There's no way she held up to that pressure. Like,
she's gonna crack.
It's a good thing I held older brothers. I was used to the pressure.
That's
used to get my ass beat.
That's funny.
I do have another story about that roommate. It was before this incident, though. It was before he got super weird. So he actually invited me over to his house for dinner one time. He's like, I'll meet my parents, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, yeah, cool. Like,
sounds weird already.
Culturally friendly. Like, culturally friendly. Maybe he did.
Maybe that's why you always saw his dong.
Sure. God.
Maybe it was just for you.
Fishing, yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. It was just for
fishing.
you. He didn't do it to everybody. He was just doing it to you, Tony.
So I accepted because I was like, well, I don't know anybody down here. Like, it's cool. We'll meet his parents, whatever. See, culturally diverse, what kind of food they're going to fix me, that kind of thing. And he had I believe it was like a 94 Nissan Altima, a green one. And we were driving over there, and all of a sudden, this spider just descended upon me, right in my lap.
That's always the worst.
Right. And you don't know what to do. Like, you're like, what do I do? Do I just let this thing descend down? Like, do I swat it?
Then you could lose it if you don't end up killing it.
I'm like, what do I do? And I'm a fight or flight. What are you gonna do? So I tried to punch it.
I don't think that's kind of like that worked.
It didn't actually. So much so that I did not hit it. I did hit his windshield, and I cracked his windshield. Cracked his windshield. Didn't get the spider.
He was throwing balloons at you later on in life.
Yeah, probably.
Those windshields are expensive.
Son of a bitch cracked my windshield.
Yeah, I've never done anything like that.
Remember when you had to tear my car apart because we were looking at wedding venues, and we were right there by the OARDC. We were looking at that hotel across the road, and as we were getting back in the car, this spider came down, and then we lost it. And I was like, no, I'm not driving, because we drove separately.
She's like, no, I'm not getting in my car.
I will get into a car accident. It will happen.
Yeah,
you tore the paneling off.
Tore the A-pillar out. Like,
oh my gosh.
In the parking lot.
Tony, I know that if that fight or flight I will wreck my car.
Driving the car.
I will wreck my car. Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that.
You found it.
I do. Did I?
Killed it. Yeah, you killed it.
I don't remember. That's good, though.
Normally, I just would have made you drive, but you drove separately.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this.
And I was probably driving a stick shift, too.
Yeah, I wasn't driving your car.
We got to get Dan on for story time.
I know.
Like,
we got to get him.
Many good stories.
We need to get him up. We need to get him around here for like a couple days so we can like hang out and do a couple episodes and then do a bunch of fun stuff.
Yeah. He every now and
His
then
family is getting more difficult to contain, though.
I need to get that big house, I guess.
Yeah.
He texts me every now and then, and he'll tell me like a fantastic story.
He's full of them.
Yeah, some of them are super random, like just people he meets on the side of the road, or like one the other day that he sent me was about one of his students in his creative writing class, and everyone's young, and this dude's in his 30s, and he's done some combat tours and killed some people, and
Jeez.
yeah, it was interesting.
He has a gift for that. Do you think it's do you think he encounters the stories more frequently than others? Like that's the attraction, or he's just really good at recognizing the story and telling it?
I think he just recognizes it and tells it better. I mean, he is a Southern man, and they say Southern men tell better stories and better jokes.
He is a hell of a storyteller. He does have we've talked about before though. He does have that face and that personality. It's like you instantly feel like you've known him like since childhood. Yeah, he definitely has that just like aura about him. It's just like, hey, I know you.
Then he made us some pancakes.
Some pancakes. Yeah, I never did anything funny. Like, well, I probably did. I just probably don't remember it. But I remember doing like stupid shit when I was a kid. I remember we had a there's this spot where there's a well, and I think this is beyond the statute, the limitations as well. There's like a well, and it has a big parking lot out in the middle of nowhere, like BFE essentially. And there was a car that had been parked there for days and days. So me and my buddies, 16, 17, what are we going to do with it? Smash it, obviously. So there's three of us. My buddy had his car he was driving. Okay, so here it is. We were driving around, and my buddy's sitting in the back seat, and he picks up this like half-size, it's like a cut-off baseball bat. He's like, what are you doing with this? He's like, I don't know. He's like, it's just in case I got it. And naturally, what are three guys in a car driving around back roads with a half-size, with a cut-off baseball bat going to do? We have to smash something, all that testosterone running through your veins at 17 or whatever it is, 16. So middle of the night, we start smashing this car, and we see lights come on like from the farm driveway on the other side of the road. And it's a truck, and it's just whoop, like flying down the driveway. We're like, oh, we gotta go now. So we jump in the car, and the third guy who's in the back seat, he's a little heftier guy. He disappears. He runs off, and we're like out in the middle of nowhere. We're like, dude, what? Dude, he just left. And so the truck finally hauls ass all the way down this road. We're like screaming for our buddy to get in the car. This guy comes across the road, and he pulls into the same park, like the gravel area we're at. So I'm like, fuck, dude, go. Like, you got to go, like now. So we like whip it around this guy.
Fred has no problem leaving your ass behind if you can't get your shit straight.
Yeah, himself.
But to an extent, I knew that if we sat there, we were fucked, all of us, period.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, go. So we take off. The guy whips it around, starts chasing us on these back roads. And we're like, and the buddy's car I had, it was for a 16-year-old who doesn't have any money, it was a fast-ish car. So it wasn't just like, we're driving around this like Buick sedan, like, or like some beat up pickup truck. Like he made it. So we're flying on these back roads. His brakes start getting soft because it's just a crappy car. But we finally lose the guy. So like, we're like, all right, let's try to drive past again and pick our buddy up.
Yeah.
So we drive past. We're yelling. And then this guy, the farmer, pops up over the hill behind us again. Because it's like, I don't know, like 11 o'clock at night. So pops up over the hill. I'm like, dude, that's him. Go. So we go again. So like we lose him again. And then we drive past. The next time we drive past, there's 2 cop cars. There's like 2 more vehicles there. And we're like, fuck. We can't, like, buddy's going to have to find his way back. I don't know what to tell you at this point. Like, hope you hid well. And so we go back to my house. He's like, dude, what the fuck are we going to do? I said, there's nothing we can do except wait. I said, you go home. Like, there's no reason for both of, like, get your car out of here. Because I live kind of in town.
Yeah.
So I was like, and he lived in a different town. So I was like, get your car out of here. Like, it doesn't need to be, this is the last place it needs to be sitting is, a half a mile from the police station. So like, get your car out of here. And then, so I'm waiting. About half an hour later, I get a call. from one of our other buddies. And he's like, dude, he's like, we'll call him Jason. It's not his real name, but he's like, dude, it's like, Jason's here. And he said, you guys like, and he's trying to get back. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm like, he walked to your house. He's like, yeah. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll be right over. I'll pick him up. So I drive over there. He gets in the car. He's got like mud up to his knees. and he's like, I can see his sock. Because he's only wearing one.
Oh my god.
I'm like, bro, like, what happened? I'm like, you're missing a sock. He goes, dude. He's like, so I take off, right? He's like, and you guys, he's like, I didn't think about jumping in the car because obviously, like, he's like, I went and hid. And then he's like, and I heard you guys that when you guys came back, you were yelling. He was like, I heard you guys and was running towards you when you took off again. He's like, so then he's like, I figured at that point, like, he's like, then the cops started fucking showing up. He's like, so I just had to like hoof it. Yeah. So he's like, I had to walk in right just south of in between our buddy's house and where he was at. It's an airport. So like, it's not an easy thing to get around, but it's not like a big airport. So there's no fencing. So he's like, dude, he's like, I'm trying to walk as far away as I can from the runway as possible. He's like, I just feel like I'm on like a prison break. He's like, all these fucking spotlights and shit on me. I was running through these fields. He's like, trying to jump over these fences. He's like, in one field I got to, it was super wet. He's like, my feet were going down in the mud. He's like, so I ended up taking a couple steps, losing a shoe. Then I took a next step and like got stuck. And he's like, when I pulled my foot out, my sock was gone. And now I have no idea. So, moral of the story, don't be a dumbass.
I feel like the stories are funnier when you know who you're talking about, but it's funny that you leave out the names because you've told me this story before, but it's even funnier just like picturing these people doing this shit, and it's just.
Oh yeah, because it was like 11:30, and he's like, my buddy's like, he said like his dad was at the kitchen sink or something like that. And this guy comes up out of the fields covered in mud, starts banging on his window. He's like, I need to talk to someone. Like, I need to make a call.
Did he not have a cell phone?
No, this was back. I mean, we were probably 16, 17. And that was back when like cell phones were like, I had a cell phone. That's the only reason they were able to call me, because I had a cell phone, but it was like.
What was it? The Nokia wood grain?
No, it was black. But,
got that pen and paper.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
But it was like the small like home phones now, like without the receiver, like, but it was like, it wasn't a flip phone. It was like almost the size of a water bottle.
Yeah. Not a flip phone.
You know what I mean? So like cell phones were just starting to like, I feel so old saying that, but I mean, that's only 20 years ago. Not even. Yeah. 20 years ago, roughly.
Well,
like,
yeah.
Cell phones.
I didn't get one until I was a senior in high school, and that was 2006.
Yeah. I had one because I got my license. My mom was like, well, if you're going to be out, I need to have a way to get a hold of you. So that's right. But yeah, it was just like wild, like stupid stuff that like, I don't know. Don't do stuff like that.
I keep thinking about everything you guys are saying, and I'm just pulling like small pieces from each one and then thinking of stories that I have. And so back to your magazines. So I did get magazines and I didn't even have to pay for them. So I used to be big into the vehicles back in the day. I loved, fast cars, things like that. And there used to be a website called, I think it was called Erbuni or Erbuni. It was like EREBUNI. And they had body kits, like legit body kits that were super expensive.
I used to love looking at those.
Yeah. And
like have a sweet car someday.
Yeah, right. And so I remember getting on there, and it was like, hey, sign up and you get free magazines. And I'm like, and they had a bunch that you could pick. And I'm like, well, this is sweet.
Right.
And so I think they had FHM and they had Maxim. And so what I did was I signed all my buddies up for Maxim, and I put fictitious names like Hugh G. Rection or Bendover, and I sent them to all my buddies' houses. Dude, it was amazing. Like their parents were like, why is this porn coming to our house? What is going on here? And like for the longest time, none of them figured it out. But
Maxim wasn't. Oh,
it wasn't porn, but yeah, I mean,
it was about as close as you could get.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but I remember the one kid, his mom was like, they were like super Christian, like
not impressed.
Not at all, bro. Like he literally got grounded for this, man. Because I sent these nudie magazines to his house. It was awesome.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I would have been super pissed if I was one of those guys.
Oh yeah.
I've never been a big fan of like practical jokes. I just like that like negatively affect me. Like I just
Fred is not a fan of practical jokes that barely affect him anyway.
I think it's physically. When I'm physically affected, no matter what it is, it's just when I'm physically affected, it just irritates me more than like I'm just like no, not fucking funny.
And Kyrie just wants to always have like practical. Can we just have practical joke a day?
Like, no.
And
so I'm like, because I get bad because I'm one of those people like with that like, or it's like if you hurt me, like all right, now I'm gonna give it back to you twice as bad, and then I'm gonna step way over the line and do some fucking joke that nobody finds funny at all, and I'm just gonna look like a fucking asshole once again.
Remember that time that she wanted to do practical jokes, and so I took that whole bowl of freezing cold water and dumped it over top of her when she was taking a shower.
Yeah, I think she cried.
She didn't cry. She
for like a half a second. It was like almost like a.
She was so scared.
Yeah.
She got me though. She put a bowl of water on top of the door. You had to have helped. Did you help her with that?
I don't know.
There's no way she would have climbed up there. I opened the door and the bowl flipped.
Oh no.
And Oh, and she put oil on the tile. She like sprayed. What? She put some sort of
I don't know something
coconut oil or something. I stepped out of the bathroom. I almost like.
Right.
I grabbed the door handle. I would have busted my ass right on my tailbone. She cracked up. Honestly, if I couldn't hear her laughing, I would have been so pissed because I almost got hurt.
People can get hurt.
But she was laughing so hard that it was hard not to find funny.
Yeah, I've never. That's all. Even since I was a younger.
Oh, I know. Fred.
I had a guy. I worked at a restaurant, and I had one of my favorite cars I've ever had. It was. I'm not even going to tell people what it is. It was to me. It was like one of my favorite cars.
Yeah.
It's like I had money into it, and I took care of it. Even at that age, I really took care of it. And this guy I worked with thought it'd be a funny joke to take an egg and smash it on my windshield.
Yeah.
It was like 2 eggs. Yeah, you can clean it's glass, you can clean it off, but like when egg dries, it's still even cleaning it off of glass. It's a pain in the ass. So like I never played jokes on this guy, never did anything like that. I said, dude, and I think I even went to him afterwards. It was like the next day because it took me a while to clean because like I was a cook at a restaurant, so it took me forever to get out. And I said, dude, I don't fucking play games like that. And he like was like, oh, you such fucking lame ass. Like, oh, take a fucking joke, blah, blah, whatever. And I was like, that's my property. I try to keep it nice. I don't fucking play games like that. And he like really like, I tried to be like serious with him. He really like blew it off and just called me an asshole. So I was like, okay. So then the next time we worked together before, like he was washing dishes. So I knew I'd be able to get out before him. So I like did the best I could to get out. And we used to take all of, the bacon grease that we would cook pans full and have a bucket of it.
Yeah, I remember emptying that.
Yeah,
in the grease pan.
I went out there, put a couple gloves on, and took handfuls of bacon grease under every single door handle, covered every single window of his car. He said he was there. Like he got off. He got done working at like 10:30, which was about. He said he didn't leave till like 1:00 in the morning because he couldn't see through his windshield. And he's like, dude, it took me 3 hours to fucking clean all off. You think that's funny? I said, do you think it's fucking funny? Because I didn't think it was funny when you put eggs on my car. Do you think it's funny? Ha, 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 ha. And I sort of like walked away. I was like, fuck you. That's what you get.
So the moral of all these stories are don't play any practical jokes on Fred because he will just come over the top.
I do. Because I'm like, all right, we want to joke? We want to play? All right, I'll play.
Fred doesn't like things that make him feel uncomfortable or...
unintelligent,
like unprepared. No, not unintelligent, unprepared. Like he wants to be prepared for it. So like, just not. Yeah.
And like, maybe this is also, I don't like feeling like a laughing stock or this. I don't like being like a center of a joke because I wouldn't do that to somebody else.
Gotcha.
You know, there's not a double standard there because I would not do that. I just wouldn't go out of my way to like practically joke somebody.
Yeah.
It's weird though, because you're so sarcastic and you joke around a lot that you would think that would cross over.
Yeah, it does not.
But there is a hard stop there. Like,
and I don't know if it's maybe like a possession, like a possessions thing that like when somebody like semi destroys something that I worked really hard for, like.
Well, a good practical joke shouldn't
not destroy it, but like still
that.
Like it's like like you know that I hold this thing like close to my heart, and you're playing a joke on me with it, no, like that's not funny to me. Like I don't know if that what kind of stemmed from it.
You don't like
too.
being the center of attention either, though. Like
No.
if I could guess, that's one reason why you didn't do the garter at our wedding. You were like, absolutely not.
Mhm.
And I was like, why? That's fun. And you were like, I'm not doing it. Don't ask again. And I was like, what the fuck? Like this guy.
I was a real uptight prick.
This
back
guy's
then.
stiff. Like, you don't even want to try to get up my pants at our reception. And you were like, nope. But that's what it is because everyone would be staring at you, like watching you. Yeah, you don't. But yeah, don't prank him.
Yeah.
I was
doing a hell of a thing right now to not be the center of attention or something. But
right? I was thinking that. I was laughing. I'm like, we've been on stage playing music.
Yeah.
Like, no, I was thinking of the restaurants, man. There's so many good restaurant stories.
Like it was that movie Waiting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The goat.
Yeah.
I had one. So I told you this the other day, man. I love like the heists or like scams or anything like that. I love them, man. And I was a pretty good kid, man. I was a pretty honest kid, but I definitely did some dishonest things.
I think you have to test the waters.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I worked at I'll just say I worked at a place that it's a chain restaurant and it had some phenomenal chicken fingers. We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And so one night I was like, man, they had me doing all kinds of crazy jobs. I was the bus boy, but they always had me scrubbing stuff and just nasty jobs. I think I made $5.35 an hour.
Oh yeah, probably.
And I remember I wanted these chicken fingers so bad, dude. They were so good, and they had this just glorious honey mustard sauce. And I'm like, man, I would love to just like invite my buddies over and just have like chicken fingers. Just have some delicious chicken fingers, man. And I'm like, I can't, like, there's no way I can afford these chicken fingers.
Oh, no.
And so I'm like, how am I going to do this? So I had a 1991 Dodge Colt hatchback.
Oh, geez.
And I remember parking this thing out by the dumpsters because I knew that I had to take the trash out.
I see where this is going.
And I didn't latch the hatch. Like, you couldn't even get the hatch open unless you had to have a key
to
open it up. So I didn't latch the hatch. And I double bagged the trash. And so on the first bag, I was cleaning out the freezer. And I threw a whole thing of chicken fingers in there.
Oh, there you go.
And then I threw the trash on top of that. And so when I went out to empty it, I pulled
Real Ocean's 11 shit.
Pulled it out, stole the chicken fingers, had a deep fryer at the house. We had one of those. It was a deep fryer. And I remember they were the most delicious chicken fingers I've ever had in my life.
We did that. I had a buddy that worked at a restaurant, and he was a cook there. I don't know if he stole them or if he bought them and brought them home. But when we graduated, I figured out how many days left of school we had, and then how many days I could miss and still graduate. And I took a vacation at the at the end of school. I just didn't go back, and I didn't even go to like the graduation ceremony or anything. But I had an apartment that I paid for myself, so I was living in my own apartment, and I can't remember if my buddy lived with me at the time or not. This is actually John. I can say his name because he's passed now. I don't know if I told the story, but John McCoy.
Yeah,
he got in a car accident in Cleveland. So he used to work at this Applebee's, so he brought like all these steaks and burgers home from Applebee's. Oh, yeah. I'm like, hell yeah! Like out of all like the fast-ish kind of chain restaurants, like Applebee's makes some decent food. So we had like literally it was, and it just happened to be right when because I went to a career center, so it happened to be right when our homeschool was like ending too. So we had 3 days. It was like a Wednesday through like Friday, and obviously we took it into the weekend, but like they had to the seniors had to do the practice for the graduation, whatever. So like the night before that, we like just days of just boozing and eating burgers and steaks all day long.
Bourbon sizzler, bro.
Yeah, it was a blast. And that was my the capper to that. But I don't know if he stole them or not. But we definitely ate a lot of burgers and steaks that I probably couldn't afford at that point in time.
I like it, man. That same restaurant, actually, this was interesting because I think I was like 15, 16. Well, I was 16 because I was driving. But I remember I had some keys in my pocket, And the one man, I mean, all of them were older than me. But there were like 2 female managers, and the one female manager, they were probably like in their 40s or 50s, early 50s. I was like, my hands were wet, and I was like, hold on a second, let me dry my hands off and get them. She goes, no, I'll grab them, don't worry about it. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's cool, like I got them. Dude, definitely grabbed them out of my pocket and did a little more than grabbing, some fiddling. And so I was like, hey, that's some, like, I feel like I was sexually harassed and touched, and I didn't really want to be touched there. And I said something to the managers, and they were like, oh, dude, they basically just brushed it under the rug. I was like, so if that was a male and that was a female, I was like, would you guys respond the same way? And they were just like, oh, well, you don't want to proceed with this, like, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, welcome to the world of double standards.
Yeah. The restaurant world gets wild, man.
It does get wild.
I feel like that does get brushed off with female victims as well.
No, yeah, absolutely does. I would say
it's completely bullshit.
It gets more easily brushed off when it happens to a guy, because they're like, oh, like, because
you're supposed to like it. You're supposed to be okay with that and want, like, that's
right. And you know
that's cool.
And honestly, most of the times it is, but when it's not, it still means it's not.
No, I agree. When you don't want it, when you didn't ask for it, when you did not consent to any of it, it's super shitty.
Yeah, and also at the same time, it's like that whole, like, well, you're stronger, you're bigger, you could, like, which I get. Like, yeah, I mean, get. More than likely, I'm not going to be physically overcome by a woman that she's going to be able to rape me or whatever.
I think my thing is that, like, you're a kid, though. You know what I mean?
It still stands.
16 years old, and it's like an older woman and stuff. And
especially the teacher-student problem, like, especially with boys.
Yeah, that can be difficult.
Yeah. Especially, like, when you're the victim, but then you have peers who are like, that's fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Like,
I do think
females probably don't have peers that are saying, like, oh, that would have been really cool. You know, it's easier to spot that it's an issue with females than it is with boys for whatever reason.
Right. Well, because, so I will say this. I think there is, just like I said, like, a lot of times it is cool. But, like, just because boys are more willing to voluntarily do those things doesn't mean that in some situations it's just as wrong as if the, sex is reversed. You know what I mean? But there are a lot of times, like, I mean, I can't think of any teachers that I had that I would have slept with. But if there would have been, like, a good looking teacher, I'd been like, okay, yeah, let's do this. And, like,
there's definitely one in elementary that I'd flirt with.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so, like, I think because there's a lot of situations that guys at that age would do that.
Sure.
So it makes it like kind of like you would have done it anyways. Like, it's still, I guess the question would still come up is if she was abusing the power that she has over that individual that's young. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I feel like that's the whole teacher-student dynamic.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really gray area. But
you were talking about your buddy being covered in mud, and it got me thinking about mud. It got me thinking about doing nefarious acts. And this was down in Charleston, South Carolina. It was in college. Imagine that. A little bit. I think it was like probably my sophomore year, and I was in a house on James Island, and they had these little canals, and the canals they're like these little waterways that had these signs, and I can't remember what the sign said, but it was something humorous enough that I wanted it for our bathroom.
Right.
And I
understand perfectly what you're saying.
I'm like, that's funny. I'm gonna steal that sign. Yeah. And so we had a kayak, and so I had the old headlamps and went out in the middle of the night, and I'm like, cool, we're gonna steal this. And we tried to disassemble it, and it didn't work. And finally, I was like, I had some sort of a tool where I was just gonna force it. I was gonna force it. Imagine that. And so I jump out of the canoe, and what I didn't realize was that it's called pluff mud.
Ooh.
And I'd never been in pluff mud before, and it is a sticky situation. And I remember it just like sucked right in, dude. Couldn't move. Like, tried to move, and the more I struggled, dude.
That's where you get those stories of 16-year-old boy dies in creek. Yeah. Like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah, how did he die in the creek? Dude, I literally couldn't get out. And I was like a pretty strong kid at that point still. And my buddies literally had to like suck me out of there to get me out.
That can get dangerous.
I got that damn sign though.
I got the sign. It reminded me, this is completely different, but story time. So my senior year of high school, I worked full-time second shift and then went to school in the mornings. And then like I was able to go to career center, so I was able to leave a little earlier than normal. So I had a couple hours, like I got home, got lunch, sometimes took a little nap before I went to work. And of course on the weekends, where are all my buddies hanging out? I mean, obviously the place that there's no parental, guidance,
Sure.
naturally. So they would, like, I gave one of my buddies a key, and every Friday they would, whenever they all met there, whatever, they would go in and just start the party without me. And I'd get home at like midnight, second shift, get over. So the one night I get home and they're all in the bathroom, burning incense naturally. And like, so I got in there and I'm like, oh, I'm going to pull a prank. This is the kind of pranks I pull. I'm going to pull a prank. So I had
Real quick, I feel like you're allowed to pull a prank when you're working and you're paying bills.
And your buddies are
You're paying
I'm paying
rent.
the electricity for them to go smoke and get high in the
Yeah,
bathroom.
they're drinking and smoking. The only place that they can go without some sort of parents.
Yeah.
I feel like you're allowed to pull whatever prank.
Yeah. So so they're probably, so you have to consider, 17, 18-year-olds basically half lit at this point, because they've been there for probably at least an hour or two collectively.
Yeah.
So I had this BB gun that looked like a Glock. It didn't have like the big red tip or anything. So I'm like, oh yeah. Also, of course, I have a ski mask. So I put the ski mask on. I get this gun, and I can hear them laughing in the bathroom and whatnot, whatever. I fucking bust out. Like, I almost kicked my own door in for him. Like, bust in the door, start fucking screaming and waving this pistol around. One guy ends up upside down in the bathtub. Other guy's like falling over in the sink on the bed. Like, I just sit there. He goes, I think I might have pissed myself. Like, literally, he's like, I almost shit my pants. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Like, once I took the mask off, they're like, literally, I thought we were going to die. Like,
how respectful of them, though, to smoke in your bathroom.
Well,
It's
I told them.
17,
Yeah,
18.
I had
That's pretty
rules.
respectful.
I had rules. Turn the fan on. Well, I was a duplex too.
I mean, when I was there as a junior, probably.
trying to get some.
Yeah, you were like, I've got a girlfriend.
You were like, I don't care.
You guys were very much smoking downstairs in the basement.
So we did in the.
You
but that
guys
was,
also had porn going,
It was
but
not
nobody was
porn.
watching it. It was just
not
like
porn.
randomly, and
No, it was those shows that put
set the mood.
Girls Gone Wild, like at night,
Oh,
like
yeah,
when they
yeah.
would play.
No,
like
it
yeah,
was-
it was Girls Gone Wild.
well, then it was switched from porn to that. But
Oh,
you
man.
weren't down there
I was-
when we
maybe-
walked out
maybe
to
there was
that.
Sounds like somebody
No,
had
it
to
was
go.
like
porn.
this is. But like nobody was sitting there just like watching it. It was just like
random porn
on.
running.
Maybe.
yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's possible.
Well, because I was with my girlfriend her boyfriend was there.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
There could have been porn. I don't know. If I wasn't there, I don't know.
Well, yeah, and then you came down
I had
and
rules.
I was like,
I had guidelines.
what is going on here?
Well, it depended on the neighbors too, because at one point we had neighbors that was like an older lady. So I'm like, I had to behave myself.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that one of the very first times I ever threw a party. And like we had this neighbor that was there, like the old lady, and like my bunch of amateurs naturally. The one guy, like the ladies, like, we're causing a ruckus. No, you know what it was? This is what it was. And I remember. So we had a couple gentlemen in the class above me that showed up at the house. And namely one of her brothers. So, you put the age-wise there. And it was like him and two other people stopped at my house with a dead deer on the roof of their vehicle and wanted to leave it there. And they were not sober, I am willing to bet. And I'm like, dude, what am I going to fucking do with this deer? Get the fuck out of here. Like, stop it. So then, like, we were a little rowdy too. And then my neighbor comes and knocks on the door, like, hey, like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, some guys stopped by. They were up to no good. I made, they got to leave. I made them leave.
Started making trouble
Well,
in the
neighborhood,
neighborhood.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Then right as that, like, so like, I'm like, oh, perfect. Like because she had to see the car pull up. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like nailing this thing, right? Like, I'm really, like, we had a party going on behind me, but it was like, I was like, guys, you gotta like So I'm like, I'm nailing this like conversation. And right as I'm like, I finished the story, like, I sent him away, like, it's all good now. My buddy comes around the corner, fucking hammered, goes to put his hand on the wall, like, and like lean up against it to like part of the conversation, misses. Complete fall on the ground, just poof.
Wasn't this the same guy who took off running?
Yeah, it happened to be the same guy that ran through the airport and through the fields. Yeah, just totally missed the wall and straight face plant to the ground. And I'm like, under control. I just like close the door real quick. I'm like, God damn it, what are you doing? You're messing this up. Yeah, I baked her. I baked her cinnamon rolls the next morning, and I left her a note and apologized. I did.
Fred was real good at covering his bases, not to get caught.
She loved the cinnamon rolls.
Nice.
Yeah.
If I get flowers or anything, I'm like, what the fuck did you
No,
do?
you don't. I don't.
He's real good at covering his bases.
Hey, I'm just trying to, keep everybody happy. Trying to do what I can.
I had dropped my boyfriend off at your house a couple of times. Never came in. Just dropped him off.
Oh, maybe.
Now that I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, they were doing all sorts of terrible
We were doing things probably, yeah.
that he said he was never doing. Yeah. Yeah.
We were doing things.
Well, and then after that, when I came over and was like, oh, they're watching porn in the basement, I was like, God, they were doing terrible things.
I was not watching porn in the basement. Just
You were not down there.
clarifying
You
that
weren't.
story.
It was just in your
Okay, just clarifying it.
your mom's apartment.
I'm sure I did watch porn down in that basement at some point, but not when people were around.
I remember Corey he played baseball, and there were a couple times half the team ended up at our house, and he'd be like, Cassie, you got to go to your room. I'm like, why the fuck am I going to my room? We're going to have some team bonding. I don't even know if he called it team bonding. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So like, I would just be like, fuck, I don't want to be hanging out in the living room with you guys anyways. Go to my room. They were just watching porn, just sitting there in my family living room watching porn. It was the weirdest. Mind you, I was probably 16, not, exposed to porn other than when I would find magazines in their bedroom. But I feel like that's probably pretty typical. I don't know.
I mean, that's typical. I don't know about the sitting around with a bunch of your baseball team watching.
They were just,
that seems a little weird.
They were like laughing and like there was commentary and I don't know if they were trying to like do voiceovers. I don't know. But like it was
okay, that might be kind of funny. I could see.
It was so weird.
Mystery
so like
Science Theater. Yeah,
right.
That's how I feel like all men are. I had Dustin and Corey. I feel like they
framed what you thought men were.
like what boys are. Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of boys. I mean, that's a lot of.
I'm glad I had a girl.
It's a lot of boys doing things similar to that. Maybe not.
I remember one of my buddy's dads had like every Playboy magazine from like it was like 15 years or 20 years.
You have to have a full bookshelf for
that.
They
were all like, yeah, they were categorized. I remember I'd go over to his house and I'd like, if I had to like take a dump, man, I'd just grab a magazine. I'd be like, 1992. Let's see how much Bush was here.
Yeah, that's almost kind of cool. Like you're like categorizing history at this point.
Yeah,
you're just recording. Like
yeah, obviously I'd look at the pictures and then I would read the articles.
Yeah.
They always had a cool article on like a watch or like a sports car.
Well, that's why like Maxim, you mentioned that. Like, they actually had some decent content in there too. It just happens to be like every 3 pages there's some really hot chick. I mean, what more? I
thought you were gonna say the cool content was only every 3 pages. That was more Playboy.
Yeah, no, I was. Well, Maxim was more content than.
Yeah, Playboy was only. I mean, there's not. I don't think there was a ton of nudity in there.
No, there was. There's like usually with the centerfold and then maybe a couple other girls here and there.
Yeah,
Maxim
was just
like
take it out and it's.
Yeah, I will say this.
I remember doing that. I remember sitting in Corey's room and we have like, am I gonna look like that? I don't know. I couldn't tell when things were fake or not. And I was like,
am I gonna look like?
I remember being like 12, and being like,
look like that?
Why is this folded up? Like I don't even know what we were doing, but he wasn't in there. And I remember like 30 minutes later, I'm reading shit. Like, I don't even know what these words mean. I'm confused right now.
It's outside of my vocabulary.
Yeah, but I really expected a rack that I never got.
Like, I'm still waiting.
Got ripped
Yeah,
off.
I did.
Well,
Playboy setting unrealistic expectations
so-
for both men and women.
True. So here, going to the Maxim thing, this is the thought that I just had. I almost, this might sound, I don't, if this sounds really weird when it comes out, let me know. But I almost gained a higher appreciation for women through the Maxim magazine. And I understand, what it is on the face of it. You just it's entertainment for men, girls in bathing suits, whatever. But in Maxim, a lot of those times it was like an upcut, like it'd be like a perfect example would be like a woman's UFC fighter that's coming up in the ranks. Like she would be in there. Like they had like a lot of like women like that. They're like, hey, or like she races, or she does this, or like this is what like she does that's like outside of like the typical norm, like and like Olympians and stuff like that. And it'd be like, man, she's sexy too. Like, you know what I mean? But like,
and here's a downward dog picture of her.
Yeah, like, like here she is on the coffee table. Like, but like at the same time, it was like I did gain some respect for women through like I see like, oh, this chick's hot and she's a badass. Like, that's fucking cool. Like she's out there like beating people's faces in. That's kind of like
Fred's like, they don't all just cook and clean. Amazing.
Yeah.
Out with my toxic masculinity as a child.
So like that's in a weird sense, like toxic masculinity actually removed my toxic masculinity as a child. Plus I grew up with 2 sisters and a mom, and that was rough enough as it was. So it didn't sound that weird.
No, it didn't sound weird. I think it's the whole thing, like even now that Instagram is like obviously available to anybody, especially women. It's like I've seen so many women say like, oh, I didn't think that I could also feel sexy or present myself as sexy because I'm in this medical field or I'm in this profession or whatever, like registered dietitians. I didn't know that I could also like dress sexy because I wanted my clients to take me seriously. Well, you can be both, right? Like those women in Maxim, like, oh, you're a gold medalist, you're a skier, but hey, you also have a rockin' body and you're confident with it. Like, you can be both. You don't have to be.
Mm.
You could just be sexy and a fucking airhead, I guess. Or you could not want to take your clothes off. But like, you have the ability to do both, and you're allowed as long as you want to.
Yeah, maybe that's what, like, you can do whatever the fuck you want if you wanted, I guess that's the whole idea behind like legalizing like prostitution or whatever is, hey, it's your body, do the fuck with it whatever you want to, as long, whatever. I think, like, I also think about the same thing with like I think her name's Rose McGowan. Is that right?
Yeah.
The UFC. No, not Rose. It's Rose.
No.
Her name's, I think her name's not Rose. Who's Rose McGowan?
Oh, an actress.
Who's the UFC? I feel like her name is
Namajunas or whatever. Is that who you're thinking?
I'm thinking of the girl that shaves her head. She's a tiny little spitfire badass, but she's like, just seems super like quiet and like she's like, just does like, she almost like does like subsistence living and shit in real life. But she has her hair buzzed and she's one of the champions right now. At least recently was.
Oh yeah, she's awesome.
Is that her, I had
Rose,
no idea.
Namajunas?
Yeah, I'll pull her up here.
I don't know why. I don't know where that name came from.
I didn't.
I mean, I don't even.
That's the one, because she was like,
it.
it's really neat hearing her story and like hearing like when she won, she said something about like, I don't remember if it was one of the announcers was talking to her, and yeah, she's even done up there quite a bit. Yeah, that's her. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try.
Namajunas?
Namajunas? Is that how you pronounce it?
I like it, so I'm sticking with it.
Okay, we're sticking with it. Namajunas.
She's a badass. I think I follow her on Instagram.
Yeah, but like she's out there doing like subsistence, like when like I saw like a video of her like when they were planting a garden, and it was like they were doing it all by hand, like, and it was just like she's like shaves her head, and, like this is just what she wants to do, like, and she does like, but she's a beautiful girl, but that's not like she doesn't play to that, which is cool. Like whatever you want to do, but, like she's a motherfucking badass. She kicked the fuck.
She was when she was interviewed, they said before your fight you were caught saying, I am the greatest, I'm the best.
I'm the best.
And she said, yeah, I am the best.
And then she realized, like, as she's saying it, she starts crying. She goes like, oh, I'm like literally the champ. Like, I am the best.
Yeah, but like,
it's
yeah.
yeah.
She's incredible.
Yeah, she seems like have a super like good, awesome attitude too, and just like a good person. But yeah, the opposite end of the spectrum of she could like as fucked up as this is gonna sound, I'm just gonna say it. Like she could be in the typical sense of like a beautiful woman, long hair, whatever, and like doing the whole thing. But like she's just like, that's not what I want to do. But if that is what you want to do, like fucking do it. Put the makeup on. Wear the high heels. Whatever. Or not. Fucking go barefoot for like
I was kind of like silently laughing over here thinking about the nudie magazines. The
Nudie magazine day.
Yeah.
Nudie magazine.
Yeah, the magazine at the bridge, hidden under the bridge.
Yeah, Miles.
Yeah. Yeah. And thinking about
Did we talk about that story about that dude?
which,
Did I ever tell about the guy that he said that used to hide in there and what happened to him?
Maybe.
We'll come back to it.
Okay. No, I don't really have a story per se. I was just thinking of like how difficult it used to be for kids if they wanted to see like nudity.
Oh man,
You know what
I
I
remember
mean?
having dial up at my house. My buddy's just sitting
Yeah.
there watching it. Oh, and just like click, 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 and you just like see the face and going, oh man. I'd be like, I can't even say. Like I'd walk out of the room. They'd be like, oh, you gotta come see this one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear the dude.
Oh yes, I can't remember the guy's name. Because I wish I could. Because there's a news story I pull up on about it. I think he was a military guy that he was from this area, obviously. Because Miles told the story that he had this buddy that used to hide pornos. One of his buddies was involved in hiding pornos in like the like village bridge underneath the bridge, and they would go there and like exchange them and whatnot. And like yeah, sticky pages and all, I'm sure. Hey, his life was rough then, especially for a town kid or a country kid out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Heck, sometimes even those like little flyers you get in the mail were enough.
The Sears
Yeah,
catalog.
the Sears catalogs. Yeah.
Oh, the bikini section.
Yeah.
Do you remember what's her face who used to? I won't name her. She used to tear all the like bra pictures out of the Sears catalog.
I don't. Oh.
And I remember I was like,
I didn't realize.
I was like,
I don't
why?
know I don't know if she. I realized she did that.
Oh yeah, she sat me down for like an hour and explained why, and I was like, oh.
So her sons didn't see the bra pictures in the Sears catalog.
Yeah, I mean probably all of the men, probably for the women too in the family, just so that nobody
Just in
saw them.
case. Yeah, because that's even worse.
I was like, I've never got a Sears catalog, but is it that bad? Like in my mind, I'm like, holy shit, Sears is sending out nudie pictures.
No, they're not even sexy bras.
They weren't.
Yeah, but so this kid, if you can Google some of this, because I want to like figure out exactly the story. He was, I think, charged. So he went to the military. He came back, and I think he lived in Florida now when this happened. But like a months or so after Miles was on and told us that story,
Yeah.
he sent me this news story of this kid that I think he set his wife on fire and then set himself on fire, but they both like I think made it or something like that. It was weird. It was like this weird thing. I can't remember if he got kicked out of the military.
I type in Florida man sets and it automatically pops up raccoon on fire.
Oh, raccoon on. That's what. Have you ever seen that? That's fun to Google, like Florida man, like whatever day it is. Just type in Florida man, like May
Something
19th
crazy
or whatever
pops
date.
up.
It's always some crazy ass fucking story in the news that's Florida man. Like,
Yo, that's a wild state, dude.
dude, it is. I love it. I love it. Make it wild.
Was that 2021?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it happened like after. Like it happened like just after.
Yeah, I
he was
couldn't
on the
remember
show.
when he was on here.
I feel like if like a flea market, Walmart, and a county fair had a state, it's Florida.
Yeah, but then you got to throw like cocaine and I don't know, like.
I mean, that state's just off the wall.
Yeah,
Everything they have.
cocaine and Cubans in there, and it's just a fucking party.
Yeah, gators
Mixing with a
old
bunch
people.
of fucking hillbillies. It is a party down there. It's a good time. Have you found it? No, I can't remember what his name was or anything like that. But I was like, holy shit! Like the dude, I think that's what it was. He lit his wife and himself. I think his wife died, but he ended up making her something like that. Like one of the neighbors called the police because he was like on fire walking down the street or something like.
Sounds like he might have had some mental health issues.
I think he did. Yeah, I want to say Yeah, I guess it's not that funny. Or honestly, it's not funny at all. But I think he did have some mental issues, and I don't remember if he got kicked out of the military or what it was. But it was, I guess, the coincidence of the timing and everything. That was the funny part. So I didn't mean to laugh at, somebody setting their wife on fire. It's not exactly humorous, but it was pretty crazy that it happened. It was shortly after. I don't even think it's probably not even on my phone anymore. It was so long ago, but it was weird to he talked about it, and then a month or two later, he's like, "Oh," and it was just it was funny how he presented Miley. He just texted me. He was like, "Hey, this is that guy I was telling you about on the show." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Like what? Like the guy that?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's him." I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here." I can't find it either. I don't even know.
Tony, did you ever spend time TPing?
Oh, no, I don't think I ever TP'd. I may or may not have blown up a mailbox or two, but.
Oh, you just skipped. You skipped ding dong ditching and TPing and just went straight to blowing shit up. Some of the best stories. Now, of course, now that I know Corey, that his stories get elaborate, more than they actually are.
Sometimes.
Some of his stories of TPing were just the funniest things. Like, I would just sit and laugh for minutes just as he was talking about him and his dumb friends TPing. And the one time my dad took him to Downton and dropped him off and let him TP the entire town of Downton one night before we played them in football. Gosh, we were probably juniors. Yeah, and that was the year that we just randomly hung up their sign. It got misplaced. Do you remember that?
Hung up what sign?
Welcome to Downton's football sign.
Oh, no.
And it got misplaced and was in the stadium. You would have been a junior, probably. You would have been a junior.
I don't remember. Of course it was. Oh, yeah. No, we definitely heard that. I'm going to make sure I crank that up for sure.
Yeah. I'll have to ask him about that story.
Yeah, I can't find the story either about that guy, but there's a lot of craziness. Kids these days.
Well, those are some great stories. I love them.
Man,
I love a good story.
You forget, you start thinking through all the messed up things you did in your younger days and all the different times, and I realized, and looking back, I had this conversation with Cassie the other day. I said somebody said something, I can't remember, about me being an asshole. Or no, maybe it was her. I don't know. Somebody. I just go, wait. I was like, am I an asshole? And she didn't even think about it. She's like, yeah. I'm like, what? What? She's like, yeah. I'm like, what do you mean? Seriously, no, it's the normal average person. And am I an asshole?
Bro, if you have to ask if you're an asshole, you're an asshole.
And I was like, what the hell? I was literally mind blown for probably a good solid half an hour. Then
he kept asking more questions.
Yeah,
he wanted examples.
Yeah, because I didn't. I was surprised.
Why did you ask? Because you did something and you were like, I feel like I'm an asshole.
Oh, maybe, I don't know. But I remember. Well, I think the conversation ended when I was like, wait. It's like, well, am I an asshole to the guests on the show? And she was like, no.
No, not at all.
I was like, okay, good. Then we're solid. As long as I'm not an asshole to the people on the show.
He goes, I get a pass for being an asshole to Chad and to
I was
Tony.
No, that's what I said. I said Tony and Chad don't count. She was like, well, why not? I said, because they get it. I was like, most of the time. Most of the time,
I said,
they get it.
You didn't ask me that. See, these are more specific questions.
Yeah, because that's just my stupid sense of humor.
And he's like, well, those are majority of people you see me interact with. And I was like, well, majority, then you're an asshole.
Yeah, that's funny. But then thinking about back on all the stories, it's kind of oh yeah, I kind of was an asshole. I remember the restaurant thing. I remember when I was a cook, the one waitress, they would put their tickets in of them ordering their own food at the end of the night, before they left for their shift so they could get some food and eat. And I knew it was for her. And she was and she put on the way she put it on the ticket, it was structured. What was it? A steak with broccoli and cheese. So she wanted a steak and then the broccoli with some cheese sauce on top, right?
Yeah.
But the way she put it in the system, it was steak and then underneath it was bullet points, broccoli and cheese and onions. Or it was onions and then broccoli, cheese. So I'm like, okay, I'll make it how you ordered it. So like, and I put it in a little to-go box, you know.
Yeah.
So she gets out there, opens it up, and I hear, "What the fuck, Fred?" I'm like, "What? I just made it as it was ordered." She was like, "I wanted it on the side." I said, "That's not how the ticket says it's supposed to be made." She was like, "You knew exactly what I wanted." She's like, "I order the same thing every time." I said, "You did not, because you changed your order this time. It is different on the ticket." She was not impressed.
And there you have it, Fred being an asshole.
Yep. I was like 17 though.
I do have another restaurant story. You ever you're ever in a restaurant and they'll announce over the PA that someone left their lights on or
Mhm.
you know something, and they read the license plates. Or if there's like a phone call, they'll be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
there's a phone call at the front."
Yeah, I miss those days, right?
Yeah.
You get like phone calls and
Yeah, people would actually like call you and I'll take a little bit more in a restaurant.
yeah, I had a Walmart.
Yeah, so I slid a note, slid it up there for the hostess. Oh, that's good, dude. And sweet old lady, and I put what did I put on there? I think it was a phone call for a Mr. Hugh, middle initial G, last name Rection. And she goes, yes, we've got a phone call at the front for a Mr. Hugh G. Rection. Oh my God, I know what this is.
That's awesome. I love it when people realize it. To me, that's even funnier.
Mhm.
When they realize it as a joke, they're like, "You son of a bitch, you got it." It's
Yep.
like the did you ever see the newscasters when they're doing the birthdays? And they did like 2 or 3 of them in a row. And then finally the guy, like the newscaster, like the anchor, just starts cracking up. And he was like, they got me. Like, and he just couldn't talk. Like, that's funny.
Wasn't there one circulating recently where it was like at a school board and they were like supposed to be protesting like the mandate
Yeah.
and there was people listed who were supposed to speak and it was
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, yeah.
And he was
Oh,
like
yeah.
repeating it. He said it like 3 times
Yeah.
and he didn't get it.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah. Or like when the person beside them is like, I think that's one of those things. And they're like, what? Oh,
Yeah.
You're like, you realize, I'm sure, especially like you're just so tuned into what like you're supposed to be doing. You don't realize it. Those are fun though. Those are really fun. Like I thought the Lesko Brandon, like I saw that like once. I was like, okay, clever. And then I saw so many of them after. I'm like, it's only funny that like the first couple times you do it. Come on, folks, let's knock it off. Like,
I did like the one where he repeated it and he was like happy holidays. He's like, yeah, let's go, Brandon.
oh yeah, when
I
he
was
was
like-
on TV and he was like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's go, Brandon. Like what? Somebody stop him. Oh, I honestly, I kind of feel bad for the guy. I think he's out there, but whatever. You know, he's the one that ran. Kind of. I don't know.
I like story time on Chronic Curiosity.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's fun.
A little story time. Got any
Closing stories.
there's so many stupid.
No,
fucked
I
up
really like
stories
my
out
name
there.
Casshole on here, but remember what my name was when I worked at Panera? A couple of the guys gave everybody porn star names.
I don't remember what your name.
Kinky Fandango.
Oh, that's right.
I've
I don't
used
know
it
exactly what-
many times.
Kinky Vandango.
Kinky Fandango.
Fandango, I got you.
Mhm. When we went to that bachelorette party, we all had to come up with like new names. I've used that a time or
There you
two.
go.
Yeah. Remember Steve worked there and he'd go in, he'd give you free coffee.
Yeah, he was a really cool dude.
Yeah.
He ended up passing away quite
He
a few years
did.
ago, didn't he?
Cancer.
That's what I
He's a
thought.
solid guy. Yeah.
He was a good guy. It's a bummer. Way to kill the vibe.
Yeah. He liked our names. He didn't participate because, you know, he was like the
He's supposed to be like
boss.
official.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
manager. My manager used to buy me beer. I won't say any names, but he used, when I worked at the restaurant, which was not quite possibly of a certain
Your
age.
mom's going to hear this and she's going to be like, oh my gosh, those boys were burning incense in the bathroom. And Fred's manager was buying him beer. This is much worse than I ever anticipated.
I'm sure she assumes. I'm sure. But I made it worth it the one time he was going to the drive-thru for me. I was on my way to my house and he had his credit card like sitting in like the window. You know, some people do that like as they're going through the drive-thru, and he was playing with it and he lost it. He dropped it down the window slot.
Oh no.
Yeah, but he still made his delivery, and I tore his door apart for him and got his credit card back. He was like, "Well, see," he's like, "This is why I buy you beer." He's like, "Cause you take care of me."
Nice.
Yeah. You got to take care of the people you're taking care of you, you know? What about you, Tone? Any closing ridiculousness to offer?
Oh, there's always ridiculousness. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, we can save it for next time.
Yeah.
Nice little story time. Story time with Chronic Curiosity.
We need to get Pops on for story time.
Yeah.
And Randy.
I would love having those two. Honestly, you could just
Yeah.
I just turn the mic
mic
off
back.
and just yeah.
It is because
Yeah.
it's so funny when they go back and forth.
They are something else.
Yeah.
The nice thing about their stories is, even if you've heard them, they always change just a little tiny
yeah.
bit.
Oh, yeah.
That's where Corey gets it
Yeah,
from.
absolutely. They're always it's roughly around the truth, but
You know, maybe when they're saying it,
they were-
more things are becoming more
That's-
clear, and they're
yeah,
like,
the
"Oh
story
shit!"
becomes
20% window of change. in
yeah,
the stories.
yeah, because everybody knows after 50 years the story gets more clearly defined as it when you retell it for sure. Yay for story time. Thank you for joining us today. Remember, check out the website chronic-curiosity.com to join us at the forum, have some fun, interaction, pick you up a comfy t-shirt, or if you just want to support the show and donate, all that is on the website as well. Thank you. Until next time. See ya.